Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. I just added that into the description of the show, the Friday the 13th, because I realized I looked at the date as I was typing it in. I was like, oh, today's Friday the 13th. And then I didn't realize the connotations of saying that it was a Friday the 13th show, because as I saw the chat, Adam and Comrade Sammy start talking, I was like, oh, shoot, I don't have anything very Friday the 13th-ish to share today. I just wanted to get a stream in, so because I missed Wednesday, as you guys know. So, whoops, it's not what you expected. It's not going to be a horror show or a Halloween show or a black cat walking under the ladder show. But it is Friday the 13th, and for what it's worth, one of the few Friday the 13ths of the year. I don't know what the average is of how many Friday the 13ths are in any given year, but it's always kind of neat when you realize it. I'm like, oh, cool, Friday the 13th. But the show's not going to be any different, except we're going to be talking about comics today like we normally do on Wednesday, and it's on a Friday, so that's why I called it my Wednesday Comics Friday the 13th. Confusing. It'll be confusing. Like, we'll see this in a year and look back and go, what happened on that day? What was that all jacked up? But anyway, I'm glad to see all of you here. Comrade Sammy, first in the chat. What's up, Comrade Sammy? Good seeing you. Already disappearing, as a chat ninja would do, but there you go. Comrade Sammy, first in chat. Oh, let me do something really quick that I forgot to do when I noticed that. Hang on one second, because I know I'll forget by the end of this stream. All right, I got that set. All right, cool. We're good, Comrade Sammy. Number 2, what's up, Adam? Good to see you.
This is Adam.
Hey.
Yeah. No spooky comics, unfortunately. There are a couple of Noir editions that I was going to bring up today. Kind of the whole idea of the Noir edition, because DC has been going crazy with these Noir editions. They must have gotten a direct line into my house, listening to me talk about how much I love these artist editions, Noir editions, black and white comics, because they just started cranking out. They're doing a Noir edition for everything. And as a sucker, I'm picking up all of them. So I got a couple of those to show today. But yeah, that's the closest I'm going to get to anything spooky today. Comrade Sammy says she better be spooked by the time the stream ends. Maybe, but it won't be intentionally. Tomato, tomato, tomato. we're going to say. Mark's Music Obsession. What's up, Mark? How are you doing? How are things going this fine Friday for you? Yes, like I had mentioned, I was intending to stream on Wednesday, but then something came up and I just couldn't pull it off. Thursday was out of the question, so I was tentatively not gonna even stream today, but I was like, I gotta squeeze one in. And part of it has to do with just being consistent and not letting things pile up when I miss them. But the other thing has to do with, keeping the content coming every week. That helps with the subscribers. Please hit the like, as we were talking about it right now. Hit the like while you guys are captured audience. But yeah, the more that we can just kind of keep content consistently coming out and in the YouTube system, the more people find out about this channel and the more subscribers go up. So I think we are at 446, which is awesome. We were at 442, I think, when I was streaming on Monday. So just slowly but surely, but it's coming along. So that convinces me to push forward, especially as I want to try and hit 500 by the end of the year. That's going to be a stretch as the days go by, but at least things are moving in the positive. Things are trending in the positive. So yeah, that's why today's stream is worth it. And of course, I do have comics to talk about. So always good. Timmy Millo, what's up? I don't even know what chi 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 ha 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 is.
And the Guardians are headed to October.
But I'll take it. And I was just thrown out there about the winter meetings being finished. And I saw, sorry, I don't really 100% keep track of, I just look at our teams pretty much. And we signed an amazing shortstop. So I'm pretty excited about that. My son and I are very excited about that. There's some rumors of possible pitcher signings. Who knows how that goes? Come on, Buster Posey. Come on, buddy. You can do it. But so, yeah, when you had mentioned, guess you guys are going to look for another second baseman, I had to look that up really quick because I didn't even track that happened on your side. So yeah, I guess from what I saw, was it Jimenez? Is that the name of your second baseman? Got traded. So hopefully things work out for you guys. It's always like a mad scramble during winter meetings. For those of you who don't know, it's like the baseball winter meetings is where all the head offices of each team, they meet up in a location, they all get together and they just start trading, talking trades, agents are there, all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of flurry in the baseball world during this week. And all the news blurbs, Twitter sites, X sites, I always check MLB rumors, like those kind of sites. They're all going crazy with the trades that are happening. So it's kind of exciting. It's really fun. Cranberry Langers. What's up, Cranberry?
This is a cranberry.
Aloha.
Full of power.
To you. Are you in Hawaii? But no, I'm assuming no. Aloha to you too, though. Good having you here, Cranberry. Looking for jobs. Like full-time jobs or just random jobs? Is that a thing, Cranberry Langers? Are you looking for a new job in the middle of December? All right. Well, you know what? We'll keep an ear out for you. If we need somebody to debate us in all caps about Kitty Pryde and throw a lot of good comics knowledge out there and do some draw streams on the side, I will let you know. If I don't take that job myself. Music is always so chill. Which music, Timmy Mello? Is it my countdown music? I like that. I changed that maybe 3 or 4 streams ago. And I do like that music a lot. So I'm slowly tweaking here and there. I got to update the intro, the starting soon intro. I want to update that. I want to update a few other things. Oh, I had an idea for kind of a weekly update to happen. I don't know. I haven't totally formulated it out, but yeah, I want to do some new stuff. And maybe when we hit 500, that'll be a good time to debut stuff or something. I don't know. there's a lot of works. It's like a lot of things brewing right now. Maybe it's the end of the year, turn of the new year kind of feeling. So that's what I'm thinking. Happy Friday indeed. Mark's music obsession is watching an outdoor TV this time. So oh no, oh no. Why are you doing that, Mark? Why? They are going to wonder what in the heck is going on. But okay. All right. Hello, neighbors. Hello, Mark's mom. Hello, world in Florida. Comrade Sammy's throwing tomatoes from the bleachers. She sure is. More of this. Those are tomatoes in your face. Outdoor TV. That's right. Rocky deserves it for his false advertising. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Oh no. Mark's music obsession. Oh geez. Dare I look? Dare I click on this link, Mark? Oh no. Oh dear Lord. That is frightening. All right, should I share this, guys? You guys can. I don't want to share it. You guys click on the link if you want. Dear Lord. Emo Trash isn't here, so I'll say it for her. Comrade Sammy says, "How dare you sneak past her?" I don't know. I'm not trying to avoid her, but yeah, it wouldn't be the same without Emo Trash. She's going to come in here swinging if I say anything different. But welcome, Emo Trash, when you do arrive. Where have you been all my life? Timmy Mello says, Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th rep. Oh, gotcha. I was never a big Friday the 13th fan, actually, to be honest. I was more of a Freddy Krueger, Nightmare Before Elm Street fan, which I use the term fan lightly because I don't like horror movies. I don't like the jump scare kind of things. To a certain extent. There was a period in time when I was younger that my cousin and I watched a lot of horror movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, Poltergeist. I remember watching with her, the Aliens movies. What else did we watch? Cujo. Do you guys remember Cujo, the Stephen King story Cujo with the crazy psycho dog? It's like a Saint Bernard that was like rabid. That was freaky. Pet Cemetery. We did watch that. So I guess we did watch a lot of horror stuff. But I never got into the Friday the 13th for whatever reason. House. You guys remember that movie? House? Oh my gosh. Scary stuff. Willie Adamas, he's a really good hitter. Yeah, I'm excited about him. He seems like a good dude. We locked him in for a good contract. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. We need some sort of superstar in our ranks. We're losing out too much to the Dodgers claiming all the superstars. So yeah, I'm excited. Timmy Mello says, yes, Jimenez was traded, but we got a nice return for him, including a fire-breathing dragon of a pitcher called Luis Ortiz. Oh my goodness. Get ready. Cranberry's looking for full-time jobs, maybe random jobs. Thank you. All right, we'll keep an ear out. He's in Arizona, not Hawaii. So look out. Everybody looking out for jobs in Arizona. Maybe you can get a job with Shelby. He's in Arizona, I think. Maybe he can help you out. Yeah, try not to embarrass us in front of Mark. That's right. And chat, keep it civil, chat. Keep it PG-13, okay? We want the neighbors to subscribe. We want them to watch this and go, wow, who's that handsome guy? And where are all these like amazingly intuitive chat bubbles coming out? This is fascinating. Let's join in on the party. And also like Mark, wow, Mark's watching some really intellectual, stimulating and like, world changing content. It's like news. Look at that, Mark. Yeah, sorry, Mark. I apologize in advance. Is it work safe? It is work safe, Timmy Mello. If you click on that link that Mark posted, it is work safe. It's just embarrassing. Too late to avoid it now. Yes. Never really into horror movies. I remember Cujo. Cujo was frightening. It was frightening. I think just because it was kind of a cute dog. I mean, relatively cute. It was a large dog. I think it was a Saint Bernard was the dog. So those tend to be loving, big, cuddly, rescuing dogs. But by the end of it, he was breaking into cars and like frothing at the mouth. It was frightening. I love horror movies, Comrade Sammy says, yet weirdly enough, I don't watch them very often. That often. I mean, it's been a whole thing, right? Like, those are some of the most productive movies right now that get launched are these mid-tier, small to mid-tier horror movies, not the big budget horror movies that I feel like, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm, those kind of felt big budget to me because of all the makeup and effects but maybe they weren't that big budget, but bigger budget, as opposed to these movies that are now, I don't know how much they spend on them, 15 to 30 million tops maybe on these horror movies, and they just become smash hits. And so they just keep making these horror movies. I feel like all the trailers feel the same when you watch them. They're cut the same way, same kind of like freak outs in the trailers, and yet people still go watch it. They just love it. So, I mean, it's good. That unfortunately doesn't work for me, or I don't give money to that because I don't like watching horror movies. So that kind of cuts me out of the demographic. But yeah, there's plenty out there, plenty of content out there for you to watch, Comrade Sammy. Shelby will put Cranberry to work. That's right. He is in Arizona. Keep it civil. Can't do that. Oh, we got to try. Just try, guys. Subscribe for entertainment, conversations, and comics-related evaluations and art. How about that? When you put it that way, dang it. I want to subscribe to my own channel. I did watch Smile during speaking of baseball, there was a whole campaign, a social media campaign that the producers of Smile did where they would buy tickets for, I guess, people that worked for them. And they would place those tickets, or they would buy the tickets that were right behind home plate. So you knew they were in view of the main camera that's filming the baseball game, right? Where the batter is. So it's like the seats like behind in view. And then they would just have somebody sitting there like this for Smile, like smiling the whole time for game. I don't know how they did that. Like, I would crack. Like, I would not be able to hold it that long. But I would say it was kind of effective. It was very creepy, and it was an interesting campaign. So that's the kind of stuff that, I think works in this like social media, very saturated social media world. These like viral meme kind of things for advertising are pretty amazing how they do that. And I know a lot of horror movies use those techniques. Mark is inside now. Okay, now we can unbutton the shirt. We can use all caps. We're ready. We're in the safety of our own homes now. Timmy Mello remembers that campaign from Smile. Yeah, I saw it. Kind of clever if you ask me. Yeah, I thought it was smart, right? Smart. It's like instant advertising, instant meme. And for people who didn't know or had never heard of the movie Smile, when you see that, you Google like smiling person behind, like creepy smiling person behind home plate, and for sure the campaign would come up. So it was kind of smart. It was really creepy seeing people just sitting there with a dead, wide-faced grin for an inning. Yeah, totally. I don't know how they do that. It's similar to those guards, the British guards, like whenever they do the guards that are, like, I'm assuming it's at Buckingham Palace, or maybe it's like at like some sort of royal place or whatever. But the guards in the UK sitting there or standing there, sometimes they're on horses and they just cannot crack. And then you have all these people like trying to take pictures or like trying to make them smile. So I've seen many videos of people doing that, but I don't know how I would be dying. I couldn't get that job because I would be laughing or angry at people trying to make me laugh, or I would not be able to hold an expressionless pose for a long time. So Mom couldn't watch outside. Mark's music obsession. Mom couldn't watch outside. That's right. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're back inside. Like you said, we can kind of let her rip. We can, not be so careful of what we say. Kubrick stare, for example. Yeah, it's just creepy stuff. That kind of looks. All right, so check it out. I caught up in chat, and we're only 25 minutes in. It's amazing how time flies so fast. Let's see. Oh, whoops. I forgot to do something that I needed to do. Give me 1 second. Cranberry Langer says the King's Guard. Yeah. Or are they the Queen's Guard? I can't remember. Somebody's guard. Hold on. I got to do this for my daughter. And send. Okay. But yeah, some guard that I guess that's just the tradition that they stand there unfazed. It's kind of cool. I'm 5 minutes ahead. Is that what I am? Is that, yeah? 5 minutes ahead than normal? Maybe. Yes. You cut the time you usually take to catch up in half. You know why? Because Emo Trash isn't here. That is why. She doubles the chat output. They were the Queen's Guard. Did they change the name on that, man? Why? Oh, I know why. Because the Queen passed away and now it's King Charles. Got it. Oh, that's interesting that they would, in this day and age, that they would keep the, I guess, royal traditions beat gender traditions. You would think in this day and age they'd be like, oh, it's the guard. There's no more King's Guard or Queen's Guard. Or it's the Guard X. The Guard X. I don't know. That's kind of cool. The X Guard. I don't know. Random McRanderson, what's up, man? 5 minutes ahead. That's what they called your sister in high school. That's sort of. All right, dude. I'll give you that. All right. Emo, the Great Derailer. That's right. She is the Great Derailer. All right, people. So what are we doing? Everybody's saying hello to Random McRanderson. Awesome. Good to see you, Random McRanderson. So what are we doing today? So there are a few things kind of interesting. This week was actually really thin with the comics this week. I only picked up 2 comics, and I'm only just going to talk about one from this week. But there are a few comics that for some odd reason, I was trying to watch back old shows and look at my collection. There's a few comics that I didn't even bring up on previous streams. So I'll look at those too. And the one comic that I did pick up this week, I'll bring that up. And then there's a couple library things that these books that I picked up that are really interesting, and one of them I had never heard of before. The other one I had, and it's kind of cool to look through. So yeah, it's kind of it's like a smattering. It's a cornucopia. What's another word? Smorgasbord. I don't know. It's just a big mix today, but that's okay, because it's Friday the 13th, so things are going to be a little bit off kilter today because of the namesake. Cranberry Langers ending up here. No, because they've had their kingdom for thousands of years. They're rich in traditions and roles. Yeah, I think the traditions, British traditions, will hopefully stand the test of time. All the little things that they do. So I'm all for it. I like it. I like King's Guard. King's Guard sounds cool. Queen's Guard sounds cool. Random McRanderson says, in comic book news, I received my Kickstarter from Top Cow's Darkness Volume 3 campaign. Yeah, it's amazing too. Awesome. So I was never, there's only a few Darkness things that I've picked up. When Darkness was current, and coming out, I don't know why I never got into Darkness Train. I would argue it's probably because it was more horror themed, and it didn't really grab me, but I know the art was great. Obviously Silvestri was on it, David Finch. maybe Michael Turner was just on Witchblade. I can't remember. But all those guys, Bat, so many artists were incredible on Darkness. But for some odd reason, I didn't totally like latch into it. But I should start reading it from the beginning, I think, from beginning volume. And then, yeah, I know they've been doing out these, releasing out these compilations. And I did see that one. So that's cool. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that Darkness sounds good. Yes, Random McGrandison, Dale Keown. I do have Darkness Pit. Didn't I show that once? I do have the Darkness Pit crossover, which the artwork is like Dale Keown on the Darkness. As much as I love Mark Silvestri on the Darkness, Dale Keown on Darkness was so perfect. Yeah, I do have that Dale Keown Darkness Pit. And then there was that black and white Darkness that I picked up the other day. Not the other day, months ago, but I picked up and I did an unboxing on. And I can't remember the name of that artist that was on it. See, I'm sorry. I'm not that super knowledgeable with the Darkness stuff. But that's cool. That's really cool. I remember when, total aside, I remember when Mark Silvestri did the Kickstarter. I think it was Kickstarter for Cyberforce, and I was really excited about that. But then when I looked through it, and I got confirmation from Shelby on one of his streams that like something about the production value on that Cyberforce, for whatever reason, that compilation wasn't that great. There was some, it like felt like a scan of a scan. It didn't feel like a really clean production. But the Wildcats Compendium that I got about a month ago, this is, for whatever reason, I think it's because of the plot, they included Cyberforce 1, 2, and 3 in this compilation. And that's awesome. It's great to see that stuff. The first issues of Cyberforce. Yeah, because I think it was like the crossover, the Killer's Instinct crossover with Wildcats, and that's why they brought it up. So that's why but it's randomly in this. And look at that Mark Silvestri goodness. I love it. Love it so much. So yeah, and then I have a bunch of these I've been slowly picking them up because I can't find, or my original. Sorry, I'm all over the map today. I'm going to blame it on Friday the 13th. My original Cyberforces are somewhere in my childhood collection that I can't locate the box where my original Cyberforces is. So I've been slowly buying these issues again whenever I see them in like dollar boxes or back issue boxes. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right now. But this was something that, because it was more superhero-y, more right after Mark Silvestri got off of X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, this was more up my alley. There's a crossover with Pitt. Love it. Like these covers, even when you look at them now, they are so amazing and so exciting. Like the colors, the artwork, they're just kicking butt. Really, really cool. So yeah, I love Mark Silvestri. One of the best, I'd say, out of the core Image artists. Mark Silvestri. I've read many interviews too where a lot of the other artists say that Mark Silvestri was their favorite artist, and he's amazing. He's really good. Okay, so that even has nothing to do with anything that I was going to say I was going to talk to today. Talk about. Let's see. Mark's Music Obsession says, I ordered the Shanth watercolor cover version of Beckoned Recourse today. Awesome. You're on the trail of Shanth artwork. Yeah, he did that cover, that insane cover for Beckoned. I knew he did it for that campaign. So that's great that you picked that up. Timmy Miller says, definitely Dale Keown and the late, great Michael Turner. Yes. Yeah. Super sad. Michael Turner passed away too young. Shanth. Maybe he is like Beetlejuice. Sean, he texted me the other day. He texted me this panel he's working on the spring ball campaign. Says getting exciting. He just gives me these little teasers here and there of like spring ball stuff. So it's really fun. I can't wait for that campaign to launch. It's going to be big. If the subject matter isn't for you, that's just it. To me, it's crime, mafia, demons, and those are all winners for premise. Yes. Yeah, the crime aspect is kind of cool. It does. I do like that side of it. Yeah. But I do need to read it for sure. I mean, there's so much content for Darkness and Witchblade both. And I know they cross over. Did you ever watch the TV show Witchblade? You know, they came out with that TV show that it didn't look anything like the comic at all. But curious to see if you saw that. I mean, it was just everything that they were putting out at that time, that Top Cow was putting out at that time, was just like going gangbusters. So I never collected Cyberforce, but I think I have that Pit crossover some way too. Oh wow, so interesting. You went the Darkness route and not the Cyberforce route. Interesting. We're opposites. Anybody else drop out a couple times? Oh dear. Sorry. Hopefully we're not having any streaming issues. Just let me know, Mark. Keep an eye on it for me, please. Thank you. Little taste to keep you coming back. Okay, so I don't think I talked about this one. This was one of the Noir editions that came out a while ago. I feel like, did I talk about this? Can you guys remember if I talked about it? I feel like it was one of those weeks where I had too many things to talk about and I skipped over it. Or maybe I'm just repeating myself, which is not out of the realm of possibility. But this Noir edition came out for Batman and Robin, Chris Samnee, and his artwork lends itself to black and white, amazingly to black and white. And so, of course, I had to pick it up. The thing I was a little bit disappointed in is, like, for whatever reason, they chose kind of a cheaper printing quality of this paper. Even the cover feels a lot thinner and kind of cheaper than the actual book. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer. And then I'm pretty sure Chris Samnee still works traditionally, unless he's just doing this book digitally. But I don't think so. I think he's a traditional guy. But you can't see any of the like smudges or the corrections or like the process in the black and white. It's just strictly black and white. And maybe they made that decision. Like all the blacks are like totally solid black, right? You can't see the paint strokes in it or whatever. So either that or he drew this digitally. Who knows? But that always takes something out of it a little bit for me when it's not like an artist edition. Out of all these Noir editions that have come out recently, the only one that is like scans from the original that I can tell is the Absolute Batman Noir edition. And everything else is just like this, which is just the black and white art. So yeah. But it is awesome to see Chris Samnee do what he does and tell his story just in black and white. It's amazing. Kind of gives you appreciation of the brush strokes he makes and just the like compositional choices compared to like the color version. But the colors are great too. Like here's the color version of this page. So it feels a lot different, right, than the black and white version. But it's still cool. Still very cool. And I think the colors help out a lot in the storytelling as well. So it's not like they take away from it. They definitely enhance it, but feels different. Like this is a great black and white page here, and then here's the color page. So kind of cool. So yeah, I did pick up this black and white Noir edition, and I think that they're just doing it for issue ones. As far as I know, for everything that's come out with a Noir edition recently, it's just been the issue ones. Except Raphael Grampa is doing Batman Gotham Gargoyles of Gotham, and he's releasing a Noir edition of each one. So that that for me is money. I'm picking up every single version of that one. But it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing they're not doing a Noir edition for all the issues. I think there's 12 in this particular series, the Batman and Robin series. And then issue 2 is already out for Batman and Robin Year 1. The first issue was okay. The writing was like, it wasn't anything different. It didn't do anything new. Mark Waid is the writer. Chris Samney's the artist. The writing didn't really grab me, to be honest, if I were to be honest, on this book. They're playing up almost like the fatherly figure, fatherly concern for Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. So it's a cool angle, but it's, I don't know, it's a little, I want to say a little soft for me. But issue 2 was pretty good. So like, I felt like issue 1 was like, okay, got it. But issue 2 is starting to pick up a little bit of steam. So I'm sticking with the series for sure. That I believe it's a 12 issue series that's coming out. But when you're always doing like a year 1 of Batman, there was a series before that was Robin Year 1, obviously Batman Year 1. Whenever you do these kind of year 1 origin stories, there's already a lot of story that's been told. So to do it again and to say, oh yeah, this is the first time we see this villain, this is the first time we see this character, like it gets old a little bit, right? Which is a little different from what they're doing with the Absolute series, because those at least are totally different take on the characters. But yeah, but it's good. It's worth it. If you love Chris Samney's work, if you love Mark Waid's writing, then it's worth it to pick it up for sure. So that's Batman Year 1 and in particular the Noir edition. So I bring that up because, one, I don't think that I talked about the Noir edition before, and I wanted to show it, just a little snippet of, Chris Samney's artwork in black and white, which is great. And 2, because one of the books that I did pick up, I believe it was last week, was this one. Absolute Superman Noir edition. Like I told you, they're just doing Noir edition for everything. There must be a market for it, like suckers like me, because they're doing it for everything. And I told myself, so I've picked up the Noir edition for Absolute Batman. I've picked up the Noir edition for Absolute Wonder Woman. And that is one where I think I'm going to do a closer look video of of Absolute Wonder Woman #1 to talk specifically about colors. So that would be cool. That's kind of in the works. I've got that in the pipeline of what I want to do. And then when I heard they were doing Absolute Superman Noir edition, I was like, am I going to pick that up? Because when I got the first issue, Absolute Superman #1, the artwork was okay. It was good, but it was like, it didn't wow me. And it's at least it's not my cup of tea. And it's obvious, at least to me, that the artist is working digitally. So I knew if they did a Noir edition, which they did, that it would be similar to the Chris Samney Noir edition, which is like, oh, it's a digital art. It's not, you're not seeing the corrections and all that. But I picked it up anyway. Like I like psych myself out. It's like, okay, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, it's not worth it. It's just a waste of money. You're not going to get anything new out of it. And then lo and behold, I'm walking out on the sidewalk and it's in my bag. So yeah, I think I'm kind of a sucker. But anyway, this is the Noir edition. And actually it was kind of cool. I actually liked it better than the colored version. I felt like the colored version was, it was good, but it was kind of busy. And this Noir edition, like, simplified it a little bit more, if that makes any sense for me. It helped me to focus on what was going on as opposed to being, like, distracted by all the, like, crazy colors they were putting in there. All right, let's see. Sorry, I'm way behind now. Now I got behind. Timmy Mello says the Witchblade anime. No, I know there was a Witchblade anime. Yes. And I believe that was produced by a Japanese studio. But no, they actually did a Witchblade live action series, which was more of kind of like a cop show thing. But yeah, it was actually a live action series. I watched at least several episodes of Witchblade. Wasn't to my liking. Yeah, it was pretty boring. Pretty boring and not so. Yeah, that's how I felt too. I like the panels with the mask. Nice. Yes. Chris Sandy's art is awesome. They really botch their histories usually. Yeah, they kind of tweak it and try and make a different angle, and it's all kind of similar. I'm going to tune out now, but I'll check in with you nerds later. Awesome. Comrade Sammy, we'll talk to you in a bit. How is Absolute Superman? I haven't bought anything by DC in a while. Okay, so here's my take on Absolute Superman. I'll give you like a few tidbits here and there. One, or just my opinion. One, Superman's not my favorite DC character. There's never been like a Superman book where I'm like, yes, like I'm all for that Superman, or like Die Hard Superman. I really did, for the longest time, I hadn't read Death of a Superman, longest time, until maybe 7 months ago, 7 or 8 months ago. And then that was my first closer look video I did, was of Death of Superman. And I actually really liked it. But yeah, so Superman to start is not really an exciting character to me, just because of how perfect he is, right? Of how like he can do anything. He's super strong. He's got heat vision. He's got icy Clopeth. He's invulnerable. Like that's hard for me to be related, or hard to be relatable to me for a little bit. So there's that. Two, outside of like the classic Superman design, anytime anybody has tried to reinvent Superman, his costume, his look, I've been like, nope, does not work for me. When Death of the Superman happened and all of the new Supermen came, I thought they were not great designs at all. Especially, I mean, I was a kid at the time, in the middle of Image Universe and all the cool designs they were doing, like Cyberforce, like Wildcats. And then you did like Death of a Superman, you had these other Supermen come, and they all looked kind of dated and not great. So yeah, there's that. So I already have a bias against Superman. So then I did, when they announced the Absolute Superman, or the Absolute line that was coming out, Batman was the one I was most excited about. Wonder Woman was the second, and then Absolute Superman. So I was like, well, I got to give it one issue. And the story is interesting, but it was a little bit heavy-handed with it's not like social justice, but it was a little bit heavy-handed with like, we got to protect our third world labor brothers that are working hard in a third world country, and they're being oppressed by this big government. It was a little bit of that, which for me, I like the Superman stories that are more cosmic, that are more like he's like going fisticuffs with Darkseid. Like those are the kind of Superman stories I have, as opposed to like, I'm standing up for the little guy. I don't know. That's just my own preference. So that storyline in of itself was like, all right. However, one of the things they were doing at the same time, simultaneous as talking about this third world story, was they're establishing his history on Krypton and the society, how the society was built. So that was kind of interesting. There's like a hierarchy in society, and there was like the super smart scientists, and in this Absolute line, his dad and his mom, they're like brilliant people, but they're not in that higher 1% class, if you will. They're kind of more in the working class. So I think that's why he relates, and that's why he connects to the present day third world country that he's helping. They're like mining diamonds, blood diamonds or whatever. So it was kind of interesting what they were setting up with his mom and dad. And they spent a little time of them like building that up. And I like that. And then, so they kind of flashback back and forth between what happened in Krypton years ago before he came to Earth and what's going on Earth now. And then also Superman has this relationship, or this like his costume is this sentient being a little bit, or I think it's a sentient technology. And so it's talking to him kind of, it's a little bit like his conscience and trying to tell him like, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. Kal-El, you shouldn't be doing that. And he kind of goes against it, or sometimes he listens to it. And so that was kind of an interesting aspect. I really wish they didn't give him the like cool boy hair. Like that was something I was like, I don't like Superman with cool boy hair. It doesn't work for me. They did, like, one of the main villains in this story, the oppressive government or corporate organization, is the Lazarus Corp, which is known in the Superman world. And all these peacemakers are part of it. So that's kind of neat to see. So yeah, the first issue left me at I was like, all right, I'll give it another issue. And then issue 2 came out. So I did pick up issue 2 at the same time I picked up the Noir edition. And I liked issue 2 a lot better. Why did I like issue 2 a lot better? Well, they introduced Lois Lane. So they kind of take this different angle with Lois Lane in that she's part of the military. And she's part of this strike force, if you will, that is coming after Superman. So like Superman's incognito helping out these oppressed laborers, and Lazarus hears about it. They start tracking him, and they send out this like strike team to go find him, this military strike team to go find him. And they corner him, and the first person to run into him is Lois Lane. So I thought that was kind of a cool intro to the two of them in this world. And what happens is she cuffs him, and they're tied together. So it's this, you've seen it in like action movies and, live action movies of how somebody would be like handcuffed to another. So you're stuck with each other. So there's like this interplay. It's like, you're my prisoner, but then you're not. And they have this whole sequence where Superman's sentient costume is starting to try and remove the handcuffs. At the same time, she's like shooting him in the face, trying to subdue him. So they already have this like cantankerous, like confrontational relationship. And then all hell breaks loose, and he has to get away, but also he doesn't want to kill her. So because he's connected to her, and he's not that kind of person. Like he's not going to kill another human being. And so anyway, it's kind of this neat setup because he has to protect her. And then his costume starts doing these things to like try and remove the handcuffs, but also protect them at the same time. They do this wild effect of his cape. So his cape is actually, if I'm understanding it correctly, is like little nano metal technology. So it's not like a flowing cloth cape. It's like this nano bits that come out, and they act as like a shield, as like a net. So that's kind of cool. And then there's this banter between Clark and Lois Lane, and she's like, you better let me go. And, he's like taking off. He's like, you're coming with me. And so yeah, it's pretty funny. And she just keeps shooting him in the face because that's all she can do. And she's connected to him, but he doesn't, it doesn't kill him. He can take the hit, but it's just kind of funny. And so fast forward, all this stuff happens. She starts seeing that he's like trying to save these people, that he's not this horrible alien invader that the military is saying she is. So her mind is already starting to change. And then they go into like her, not diary, but like her military log of the events. They kind of give us a snapshot of what she's saying is happening and describing is happening, and like, oh, he's not really, he's trying to help these people and blah, 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 blah. And the cool thing about that is like, as it starts building up and as she's writing more and more about him, they cut to her, like he finally separates and he leaves, and she's left behind. And so she's giving her a report of all that's going on. they tap into this idea that like the military AI, like it's almost like Chat GPT, like it just kind of summarizes what she says, and she's like, wait, that's not what I'm saying. And he's like, oh, okay, got it. He's like a threat level 8, like we've got to subdue him. She's like, no, I'm not saying that. Like he's actually a good dude and blah blah blah. So she realizes she's got to go in and edit this report, and that at that point she's like, I'm gonna start writing this. So it's kind of this cool nod to like, oh wait, this is the beginning of Lois Lane being a quote unquote reporter and like writing down what she feels and going against what is being told to her. So I really like that angle. I thought that was super smart, and it made her character really interesting, and just how they met, like went from like, you're my prisoner to like, wait a minute, you're kind of a cool guy. And so yeah, it was kind of cool. Then they do a lot of more flashback stuff. So I think we're going to learn more as the series goes on. We're going to learn more about his parents and what they did. And there it is, this nice little like written by Lois Lane. I thought that was a cool moment. And then the peacemakers are just like, they're just going crazy. They're just like horrible, brainless like soldiers that are just doing what the government tells, or the Lazarus Project is telling them to do. So yeah, that's my take. Sorry, my long-winded take on Absolute Superman. I was surprised that I started liking it, because initially when I read the first issue, I was like, it's all right, and it's Superman, so whatever. But now after reading issue 2, I'm like, wow, this is kind of an interesting take, and I'm curious to see where it goes. And then at the end of issue 1, I believe that the whole organization that is watching Superman and observing him and is this whole AI thing, I believe it's Brainiac. So yeah, that's kind of a cool little tie in there. DC licking their lips seeing Rocky walking. What's up, Michael Bancroft?
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
All they got to do is like they turn saturation to 0 and contrast up a little bit, brightness up a little bit. And then I'm like, and then they put the word Noir edition, and I'm like, you want double the pay? You got it. Here's my bank account. So you are not wrong. Random McRanderson says, not a fan of those orange boxes in the Noir edition. Yeah. That's when it's like, this is the digital, right? It's totally digital. They were really going for a certain audience with that Starfire advertisement. I missed it. Oh, yeah. Man, I finished reading. I had bought it a while ago, but I finished reading maybe about a month ago. What was it called? The George Perez Teen Titans. Wasn't it the Lazarus Project? Am I getting that confused? Hang on. What? Where did it go? Oh yeah, the Judas Contract. Sorry, Lazarus, Judas, some biblical name. I know it wasn't the Jesus Contract. No, the Judas Contract. Yeah, that series by George Perez. And his Starfire is the best Starfire. She's amazing. And they did not hide the fact of why they designed the character the way they did. She was amazing. I love that Starfire. So yeah, this Starfire, not the same. A sucker both every minute. Don't forget his kissing and cellophane powers. Nice. I think you're supposed to relate to his Clark Kenty side more. I mean, from what I can pick up on this, it's not the same as the standard Clark Kent persona versus Superman persona, where it's like, he's a totally different guy, and like, how would he ever be Superman? This one is more like, he's Superman, like helping people, and then he's Clark Kent, like hiding in the shadows. Like it's not like his personality changes. He's just kind of hiding more. So yeah, that's a little different for sure in this absolute version. The multiple mysterious Superman, yeah, I hated those designs. The electric blue Superman, I did not like. And he had a red version too, didn't he? I don't know. I never read that. I hated that design. You like Superman red? I did not. I did not. To write Superman is to appeal to the call and inspiration of being traditionally in that hegemonic masculine symbol. Problem is, of course, humanizing the definition of being up, but it can be done. Yeah. I mean, I think, he just is a hard character. He's a hard character to, there's obviously kryptonite is a weakness, and I know different people have played up the weaknesses, or different writers, different creators have played up the different weak angles of Superman, or even John Byrne adjusted his powers so that he could be a little bit more down to earth. I don't know if that's always the solution. I think it was just Superman in general didn't be. I love the Fleischer Superman. I think that's a cool Superman, and that is kind of iconic, and he is like all powerful, invulnerable kind of Superman. I love the Bruce Timm, the Superman from the cartoons. I thought that was an awesome version of Superman. But something about him in comics, even when he's drawn by great people, like, I mean, it was great in Crisis of Infinite Earths. That's a cool version of Superman, but yeah, I never really clicked with him for some reason. I mean, what's your guys' favorite Superman? Do you guys have a favorite Superman? Let me know in the chat. Superman won't ever really into the socialism or picket lines, I don't think. Mostly the dark side doomsday. Yes. Same. Yeah, exactly. When it gets really weirdly political, yeah, it just didn't feel right. I mean, and granted, this is a different version of Superman, so that's what they're trying to do. This definitely reads like a manga. Okay. I think his suit is going to be Brainiac. Oh. Ooh, I like that. I like that idea, Adam. Is the costume Brainiac? I didn't even think of it. You guys might be onto something. That would be kind of interesting. I thought that Brainiac was like... I thought he was this character, this moment here. But maybe he's in control of the suit too. That would be a cool kind of twist. I like it. It's more of a Christian-based morality or a traditional American perspective, neither of which are really advocated for or promoted these days. True. Yeah, that's true. They tried to in the movies. So Lois is her dad? Was Lois's dad in the military? Wow. See? I'm not a DC boy. I don't know all this backstory. General Lane convinced Lois to go into the military. Oh, okay. I guess so, you guys. I guess so, you guys are on it. This looks pretty cool, to be honest. Yeah, I wish his face hair looked more super. Yeah, I don't like the pretty boy hair. It doesn't vibe well with helping out the everyman. Like, it's too like it's too like, I'm gonna be singing you a ballad in a second here kind of hair. I kind of wish his hair was like shaved, maybe, shaved close. That would be kind of neat. That feels more of like a in the shadows, like walking in the alleys kind of Superman. But this, like, you need some serious super gel and super barbers to maintain this. And it's a little bit of a disconnect. Noir looks way better. I agree. Yeah, I like it better. There's just many color effects going on here. Like, many color effects. Which, yeah, it's a little much. I mean, it's all right, but it's a little much. I do like the black and white. Outside of the orange. They should have just made these, like, just totally made it all black and white. I don't know why they separated it out with the orange. Comic looks fun. All right, cool. Yeah. I was surprised. It is Brainiac. I remember a component of Superman being inspired by Samson and Jesus. That makes sense. Of course, Schuster and Siegel were Jewish, but they did have Christian values, so it definitely makes sense. Yeah. I mean, Samson's in the Old Testament, right? So yeah, makes sense. And I could see that. That like ideal man, although they didn't give Superman long hair. He had nice hair. Yeah. This is not the hair. What's up, awesome one? Oh my gosh, awesome one.
Yes, that's awesome.
I feel like it's forever since we've seen you. How have you been? You've been dodging my stream, man. It's good to see you, though. I'm glad you're back. What? I don't even know what that is, Timmy Mel. Judas Contract, thank you. Why no absolute? This is what I miss. Depends on the writer. Some emphasize the Clark more, some the Superman. Yeah, sure, I do. Weakness of Superman, kryptonite aside, is always him trying to figure out how to do things according to his high principles, also live a normal Clark Kent life at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, what is that Superman story? They focus on that a lot. The Tib Sale Superman for All Seasons. They kind of focus on his like farm life and his parents, like his foster parents, Ma and Pa Kent. And that's cool. I like that. I mean, that's definitely more of the human angle, even though it's through his Kryptonian lens. It's him trying so desperately to be normal and human. I mean, that's like kind of the crux of that story, the crux of his character. Of he just wants to be human. He just wants to live a simple life, but he's imbued with these powers that you got to save everybody. Like and then the like moral choice of like, oh, do I only save, the really big problems, or like I could save like every single person on the planet if I wanted to. But then how do you live your normal life? So there are interesting angles there. Yeah. It just never, I don't know if it's his design. I will say like the Superman S, they do this cool thing. Wow, this is a lot more talk about Absolute Superman than I thought, but it's awesome. They do this cool thing as they're describing the different social categories, the different social classes on Krypton. They all have an insignia, and so you have to wear these insignia to show which class you're part of. It's very like Divergent. That story Divergent kind of feels that. And so everybody has their certain class. So these are like the super smart, what do they call them? These were the scientists, like the Science League. And then this is the Labor Guild with the S. But I know they've used the insignia before of like Kal-El's crest, but for some odd reason that didn't work for me. Like I was like, well, that's the Labor Guild, but what's the S? Why is it an S? I mean, maybe it's not supposed to be S. There's a funny thing that I thought was pretty awesome. This guy here, this character here, if you can see it, he's not the lowest class, which is the S, the labor class. He's not the highest class. He is the middle class. Where did they say it? It's kind of like the management class, which I thought was funny. Yeah. The League of Middle Management. But I kind of like that insignia because you could kind of see an M. It was a little abstract, but you kind of felt like, oh, okay, I can get why it's middle management. But the S didn't make any sense to me. Like that, if anything, should be the science class because of an S. But maybe they don't use S's, and I don't know why. So yeah, that was a little confusing. It felt like it was kind of forced into their logic that they were trying to build in this world. It was a good idea, and then now he's wearing it here. Like, but why? Yeah. I don't know. I like it better when he can like pull off the S and throw it and use it like a boomerang or whatever he would do in the movie. As you said, he's all powerful, so most of his weaknesses are those he takes on. Yes, absolutely. Superman Earth 1 is a personal favorite of mine. Is that the Shane Davis and J. Michael Straczynski J. Michael Straczynski one, Timmy Mello? Because I just read, I think it was the first volume of that, and I wasn't into it. I don't know why. I just was like, eh. And again, it was like, it's Superman. Like, all right, it was okay. Yeah, it wasn't for me. I almost want the like, I want the big cosmic battles. That's where Superman shines for me. Because he's so super, I want him like to be doing things that nobody else can do. I don't want him to like, oh, all right, well, I guess I can't use my power because I want to be weak like the rest of the humans. Like, that doesn't appeal to me. I think for the issue you showed, I like the colored version better. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I'm guessing only Noir editions for issue 1. And that'll be it. And I will not be broke for all these. And I'm not actually sure how long all these absolutes are going to go for either. I don't know what the length of, if it's like an ongoing series or if it's like a limited series. I read a couple of blurbs from Scott Snyder, who's writing Absolute Batman, that it's intended to be an ongoing thing. Him and Nick Dragotta at least are committed to do an ongoing series. So I think the first arc is maybe 3 or 4 issues. Then they're going to have a break where some other artist is going to draw it, and then they're going to pick up a next arc. So that's kind of cool because that's my favorite book. But yeah, I'm not sure how long all of these will go. But my hunch is the Noir edition is just for issue 1. All right. Let me just make sure I get through all the Superman talk here, and then we will move on to the next idea. Even without the need for hair gel, I don't think that face looks like Superman's face. It looks Hispanic. Yeah, I can see that. And maybe that's them trying to like connect him more with this world, like the third world workers there. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird choices. This is cool. I mean, him with the hoodie on is kind of cool, but the hair just like that just gets me. It's like, come on, man. That's not Superman. That's Prissy Boy. A Hispanic 20-year-old maybe, yeah. Have you read Murder Falcon? Not yet. I know you keep telling me. It's on my pile, Adam. I got it. It's in the queue, buddy. It's right there. But I have not read it yet, and I will for sure. Brainiac emblem. Oh. Oh, the 3 dots. Gotcha. Oh, perfect. I see it now. That's awesome, Timmy Mello. Wow, how long did it take you to come up with that? That's pretty genius. Shaved head look was more Jim Lee's Superman Unchained series look? Oh, I never saw that. I never saw a shaved head Jim Lee Superman. I know that because I didn't read Unchained, I know that he's doing a new Hush. That's coming out. They previewed that in... Which book did I see a preview of? I'm not sure. But yeah, they just announced they're doing a new Hush series. So I read Hush and I was like, meh, that wasn't for me either. I think I've mentioned this before, but Jim Lee for me does not... He's such a good artist, but he doesn't fit for me as a Batman. Like, he's not the right fit for Batman, the right cast for Batman. That's just me. But Scientific Elite, yes. S for Slaves. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. They didn't explain it. I bet Zod is among the elite in this universe. They haven't mentioned him yet, but possibly. S is for Sweeping. Yeah. That would be amazing. I would approve that. If they flat out said, and you're wearing the S because you're sweeping, I'd be like, dude, I'm in. Sold. Because that would be kind of cool, because then it's like he's taking this like shameful... I mean, it's too classy looking and too slick to feel right, but that would be kind of cool if it was like he's taking this shameful symbol or like looked down upon symbol and elevating it to this heroic thing, which I think is the intention. It's just I don't think the execution is 100% working for me. But that would be really awesome. Like if it was like I'm trying to think of like a similar symbol. Like, do you guys know the company Waste Management? They have like a W and an M. Like if it was like that, but then that was like the insignia of the Superman of that world or something. That'd be kind of interesting. Sweeping. It's not supposed to be English. Yes, I know. The S is supposed to be a corny, happy accent. Yes, I know. But I think there's so much history with the S where it is supposed to be Superman that you can't help but look at that and go, that's an S. It's an S. Why is it an S? And then try and make meaning of it. At least my brain goes there. But yes, I know it's just supposed to be similar to the abstract symbols of what the other social groups are wearing. But it just reads S, so it's hard to like break out of that. Timmy Mello, he throwing up because it's a sweeping. S shield stands for hope. Earth 1 is Straczynski and Davis. Yes. Okay. You know, it'd be revealed to be true. It's the L family shield crest. Yes, that's how it is described in other stories. Not in this one. This one is more of the caste class system, I think. That Superman was really toned down. You felt like he had a ton to lose that series at any moment. He was a bit rough, but that version of Clark had a character to develop. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I actually borrowed both of those volumes. I think there was 2 volumes maybe, or at least I only found 2 volumes of Earth 1. And I read the first one and I was like, it didn't leave me with anything. Even the version of Superman didn't feel when he was Superman didn't feel heroic enough to me or like jacked up. He felt a little skinny and kind of average. And maybe it's just because my brain is always I want to see Superman like totally yoked and like punching planet killers. Like that's the Superman I'm looking for. I like the long hair. Feels like the Crow. Okay. It's too nice though. Crow at least was like, the Crow hadn't showered for like 20 days. He like came out of the ground, out of his grave with that hair. This hair is like he was spending time in front of a mirror with his cybernetic suit, like blow drying it. That's how it feels. Looking at that hair, that's true. It does. Speaking of the darkness, it does, Jack. I mean, and it made sense for him, for his character, because he was like this super rich mafia boss, right? So it makes sense for him. He's like a playboy. But not this guy. This guy is like slumming it with the poor ones. And you can't walk around with that hair. You can't tell me those people who are struggling to put a morsel of food in front of their like families in the slums look at that guy and go, he's one of us. I'd be like, what hair product truck did he just rob? Like, I don't know about this guy, guys. I didn't like Hush Cranberry. I'm sorry, I didn't. Jim Lee isn't a great writer. Yeah, I didn't like I didn't like Hush. Young Justice Superboy is my favorite. Superman. Young Justice Superman. Okay, wait, let me look at this image. Superboy. I don't know if I've ever liked a Superboy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was cool. Yeah. I feel like they've gotten it closer in the animated versions of Superman than they have in the comics for some reason. Cranberry Landers worked for Waste Management. Do you have a shirt with a WM? Maybe you're Clark Kent. From Shame to Super. That's right. Batman Under the Red Hood was a great Batman book. Okay. I don't think I've read that one yet. Under the Red Hood. Yeah, I don't think I've read that one. I'll have to check that out. I once helped arrange a multi-day outdoor event. Actually, the Pope. Oh, wow. And we rented like 1,000 porta potties and clean out service from Wait There we go. Those guys are heroes. What would the Pope do without Waste Management? Like, what would he do? He's the Pope, but he can't bless his poop. Like you need a porta potty. So those guys are heroes for sure. Stuperman famous for mispronouncing Hordas. Hordas? lost me. Awesome one. This is socialist propaganda. I mean, you can see some of that in there. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't like Earth One. I did like Superman in the book Final Crisis. Yes. Yes, I did too. Yes. Wait, is that the same as Crisis Infinite? I get so confused. There's so many crises too in DC Universe. So I'm getting all confused now. Pope Potty Random. There was a Pope porta potty, and is it like the Pope Mobile, but like a porta potty? Did it have glass? Had to be handicap accessible away from everywhere else in the secure zone. That's so fascinating. Trudeau's was in the same area. Oh, all right. So that's some high-end porta potties. They all got those poor dogs. They all got sniffed by bomb dogs. Oh, on the way in. That would make sense. Not on the way out, right? Right. That's my thought exactly. The dog's like, yep. So it's poopy. It's bad. A little bit of planned class warfare. Okay, so this leads us into... Wait, do I have this in this one too? Yes. Okay, so they had a little preview at the back of both the black and white version and the color version, which was, I was like, oh, okay, what is this preview? And it was kind of cool. I don't like this yellow. Whoops, sorry about the glare. I don't like this choice of yellow, but this Batman looked kind of interesting, kind of cool. And I like these panels. I like these drawings. And I was like, this is pretty interesting. I'd never heard of this artist before. Who's the artist? Hayden Sherman. Wait a minute. I have heard of Hayden Sherman. Here's the black and white version. Kind of cool. I have heard of Hayden Sherman before. Do you know who Hayden Sherman is? Hayden Sherman is the artist on Wonder Woman. Absolute Wonder Woman. So then that made me ask the question, like, wait a minute, is he doing double duty? And the answer is yes, he is doing double duty on both Absolute Wonder Woman and this new book coming out, which is the one book I picked up this week called Batman Dark Patterns. So anyway, let's look through Absolute Wonder Woman 2 first. I don't think I flipped. Did I flip through this? I don't think I flipped through this. Wow, I'm starting to forget what I flipped through. That's dangerous. Because that means I'm reading and buying too much comics. But this is Hayden Sherman stuff, and I have never heard of this artist. I had never heard of this artist before Absolute Wonder Woman. But when I look at his art, it looks like it kind of has a Euro Mobius light feel. But his take on Wonder Woman was kind of cool. I liked her costume and this whole, like, she's raised in hell. I don't like what's his face though. I don't like him. He looks really wimpy and kind of effeminate, which is not how I picture him. Steve Rogers. Not Steve Rogers. Is it Steve Rogers? I'm getting all my names mixed up. Steve. Is it Steve Rogers? Steve. Oh my gosh. Somebody tell me in the chat. Somebody's going to tell me in the chat. Wonder Woman. Steve. Trevor. Not Steve Rogers. Rocky. Jeez. Yeah, but I mean, this artwork's cool, and like I had mentioned at the beginning of at the top of the stream, I'm planning on doing a closer look on Absolute Wonder Woman #1 with the Noir edition, because I think what stands out a lot to me in this book is the coloring, Jordi Belaire's coloring, and what she's doing to kind of enhance the story, just strictly with the color choices she's making and the color techniques she's doing. So that's coming up. But, you know, I thought his artwork was cool. Like, it kind of was a cool style and fit with Wonder Woman. So the idea that all of a sudden he would be on a Batman book kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, how does he get that work done? And two, how does his style work? Would that Wonder Woman style really, absolute Wonder Woman style, really work on a Batman book? So we shall see. Here's issue 1. It's called Batman Dark Patterns. And that was that little preview that was shown in the back of Absolute Superman. Where's my cursor? Just lost it. Final Crisis is after Crisis of... Okay, thank you, Cranberry Rangers. Pulling double duty there. Double duty. Yes. 2 issues a month? I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing he must have like banked Absolute Wonder Woman already. I think this one is a 12-issue series, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know about Absolute Wonder Woman, but that's kind of crazy, right? The Wonder Man art doesn't look like a ton of detail, anatomy only so-so. Wonder Woman art, yes. I wouldn't buy it personally. Yeah, fair enough. I kind of like the story and the take on Wonder Woman, so that's why I'm sticking with it. So far, issue 1 and 2 have been okay. His action sequences are like, they're all right. Wonder Woman is another character. Oh, a version of Superman that I loved is Darwin Cook's Superman in DC New Frontier. I think he nailed the character of all the DC characters, to be honest. And if you guys have not read Darwin Cook's New Frontier, highly recommend that series. And his version of Superman is amazing. And his version of Wonder Woman I love too, because she's a little thicker, but she's still voluptuous, and she like can go toe to toe with Superman. She's like really like tough, and I really love his version of her. And she's like, you know, they're like punching big cosmic punches and dealing with like big, huge issues as only they can. So yeah, I like Hayden Sherman's artwork just because it's different than what I would call the standard DC house style. And he's adding enough interest for me in this like fantasy, otherworldly kind of aspect of the story. And then I really like the way the colors are being used in that book, Jordi Belaire's colors. Like, there's rarely a book that I'll pick up. I'm like, ooh, you know, the artwork's okay, but the colors, man, I'm going to pick this up for the colors. Like, that's a tough sell to like just be picking up a book based on the colorist. But Jordi Belaire, the things she does with her colors is really great and very different and very painterly, yet super sound with the color theory and the choices she's making to tell the story, like as a storyteller, that in my mind, she's kind of rising the ranks of like, wow, this is a colorist who I'll take notice if I see her name on the book now, which is pretty awesome for a colorist. So, okay. Batman Dark Patterns. So here we go. This is the first issue of that book by Hayden Sherman. When you learn he drew both comics at the same time with both arms, maybe. Or he's going to quickly disappear after both books are done because he's going to die. Faces aren't doing it for me. Yeah, I know. They're like not 100% there. But there's some cool stuff. There was enough cool stuff in there that makes me keep going back to it. At least for the first 2 issues. Superman I definitely grew up with was Ed McGuinness. Ed McGuinness was great. Like he definitely got that thick, like dense Superman. Speaking of Ed McGuinness, like there was a little free issue of something I picked up today. I mean, not today, on Wednesday, that he's the artist on. And one thing Ed McGuinness can draw is the Hulk. Like the super thick. Yeah. Just put an S on his chest and there you go. That's a Superman. Okay. Batman Dark Patterns. Let's flip through this. All the New Frontier art was a little squat and like it was supposed to come from an older age. Well, I loved that. I love that you say it was squat. I loved that Darwin Cook, all of his work kind of kept 1 foot in the golden age and then 1 foot in like modern storytelling. And he also had an animation background, so maybe that also appealed to me as somebody who worked in the animation industry. But he's just a great, great storyteller and a great designer, in my opinion. But he just boiled it down to just this amazing style that just harkened back to the old age, but also like took it into the new era. So I always loved Darwin Cook's work and New Frontier. And he was a really, really good writer too, in my opinion. So I love the story of New Frontier. Actually, I got to read that again. I have the big omnibus or whatever, ultimate, whatever they call it, ultimate edition. So yeah, it's funny because if you put this artwork in my mind next to what he's doing on Absolute Wonder Woman, they feel really different to me. And there's a different colorist. Now, this is a colorist named Triona Farrell, who I've never heard of before. Could it be because it's a different colorist? Maybe. But even I think like the way he's adding in shadows in this way more than he is in the Wonder Woman book. Wait, let me just pull it out. Like, it feels really different, you know, totally different styles, or I don't know. He's leaning onto something different in this one compared to this one. That feels different to me. I think he uses a lot of shadows, more shadows in this Batman, but I like that Batman. That's kind of cool. Kind of goes back to like the Bob Kane, the way that like those eyebrows from the TV series in the costume. This is the sequence that's in that preview. I don't like this yellow. Something about the yellow that looks very sickly green to me. But these are cool. These are cool. It just feels totally different than the Wonder Woman. It's weird. Weird that he's doing both books. This is crazy forced perspective here, but it's awesome. Like you really feel like Batman is way up here at the top of the building. And the way that he's spotting in his shadows there. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool. That makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Something about those like holes. I know there's like a phobia of holes. You guys have heard of that? This like, ugh. It's like, ugh. Kind of feels like that. I don't know who that character is. Who is this? Creepy. Yeah, must be a new character. But I am surprised. It feels totally different. Maybe it's just me, but it feels totally different than that Wonder Woman. Which is why I was like, wait, is this the same guy? I had to like do a double take on the name. I'm like, is this the same guy? And sure enough, it is. So there you go. Depending on the read or the story, I mean, it's worth. It'll determine whether or not I pick up issue 2, but I like what I'm seeing in the first issue so far. The version of Batman, the way that he's telling the story, the mood that he's creating. This kind of new characters. It's kind of neat. All the new, oh yeah, we said that. Red Hulk, of course, yes. Show a modern image of Red Hulk and immediately think of Ed. Yep, absolutely. Using more shadows with Batman just makes stylistic sense. Yep, totally. Saves you tons of, yep, agreed. Trypophobia, yes. I don't know. it's like somehow like Google ads knew that freaked me out or something, because I would start seeing ads of like random mushrooms or something. I don't know what it was for, but it would be like with these holes in it and just make me like want to throw up when I saw it. I like the coloring in the Batman way better. Nice. Okay. It's yeah, it's different. It's different, right? So funny. So funny to see them in comparison of and it's on the same artist. And it's at the same time. It's not like this is like 5 years later and he's drawing this book. It's literally he's drawing it at the same time. And it just feels totally different. Super surprising. I got to do a little bit more research on this artist, like where he came from, where he got his start. But very intriguing. What did I miss? Diesel said, start over. Please. Here we go, Diesel. This is what you missed. What's up, my friend? We were just talking about Superman and Wonder Woman. Now we're on Batman and DC. Hey, man, like DC was kind of limping along for the longest time, but they've gotten an injection of some new energy a little bit with what they're doing on a lot of these titles, which I'm probably buying more DC titles right now than I am Marvel titles, which is shocking of me being somebody who grew up on Marvel stuff. But so we'll see. We'll see how long they keep it up and if they can not fly off the rails like they often do. But yeah, I don't know. It's like this new book come out. I had no idea it was coming out, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, well, I think I'm going to add that to my poll because it looks pretty cool. Cranberry Langers, Diesel saying hello to Cranberry Langers. Mark saying what's up. Everybody's happy to see Diesel. It's always a good time when Diesel's in the house. Yeah, buddy. All right, so yeah, that was the only book that I picked up this week. However, I was at, I don't even remember which store I was at. I picked up this, which I haven't seen in the longest time. This came out in 1993. Wow. This wasn't even at the beginning of Image. This was kind of like they were hitting their stride. All the like top guys had come out with their books. And then there was like a second and third wave of creators that they pulled in. And they brought in Keith Giffen to do Trencher, which is pretty much his Lobo, but not Lobo. But this was the craziest style. I remember seeing this, especially next to the other Image books that were out there. This looks so different. And talk about colorists like trying to help out the artwork, like the way that he drew and the designiness of it. Like, I don't even know how the colorist deciphered a lot of the stuff that Keith Giffen drew, but did it look so different. And to have a character with like the biggest gun on the planet just shooting things, doing weird Lobo things but not being Logo was pretty awesome. But this is so like densely crazy. But Trencher was cool. He was a kind of a cool character. But I remember even as a kid, like having a hard time. I loved it. I loved the way it looked. I love how stylized it was. But having a hard time like tracking what was going on because the artwork was so designy, noodly, weirdy. But I don't know if you guys remember this book. So crazy. And Keith Giffen, I mean, he's been in the comic book industry for a long time as a writer, artist. Sometimes he would just do layouts on a book. But I know his work a lot from Lobo. So it only makes sense that he would come up with a character like Trencher. and just do his own story, his own take on it. It's fun though. This is kind of a fun, it's like, it's action, but it's also comedy. Very cartoony, goofy. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen this in a long time. It's not like when you think of the old, look at this character. When you think of the old Image books and you reminisce about the old Image books and reprints of the old Image books, Trencher is not the first one that comes to mind. Oh my gosh. This guy's named the Nasal Python. Yeah, he's a funny characters. And Trencher, I don't know, Trencher was maybe came out with like 4 issues. I don't even remember how many issues. It wasn't that many. But what a bananas book. The art style is madness, right? It's like he started drawing in one corner and didn't lift his pen and just kept like, just did this the whole time, all the way through. Just kind of figured it out as he went. It's bananas. Mark's Music Obsession says, Maggie woke up and jumped through the ceiling with that diesel sound. Oh, sorry. Is that too loud? Dang, I can dial that down next time. I'm sorry, Maggie. Oh, my goodness. It's a bit challenging even. It's true. I think around then I was pretty young, mostly collecting Death's Head. Oh, no kidding. Death's Head 2 at the time. I never got into Death's Head. Random McRanderson. Wasn't Death's Head on in their UK line? And for some odd reason, it felt very foreign to me, even though it just said Marvel UK on it. And I was like, Death's Head? I was like, what? Yeah, I never got into Death's Head. Okay, so that's all the comics. So here we go with some library stuff. I don't know if anybody has heard of this book. It's called let me back out here a second. This is a graphic novel that I saw, I guess I backed out too much. This is a graphic novel that I saw in the library. I never heard of it. Never heard of the creators on it, but I was intrigued by the art style. Because it has it's a painted book, but it's like watercolors. Looks like it's watercolors. And it's this weird sci-fi fantasy kind of world, which when you think of like watercolor art, watercolor comics, you don't really go to, in my mind, I don't really go to sci-fi stuff because there's something expressive and organic with watercolors, like this kind of bleeding of colors and like flows into different gradients and all this. And when you think of sci-fi stuff, you think it pretty clean, robotic, whatever, very calculated. So it does feel like it works like in a fantasy aspect, but there's such a techie part of it too, which I was like, wow, that was kind of interesting to me. And then it was just pretty intense as far as the artwork and what he was doing in the artwork for it, that I hadn't seen anything like this before. So yeah, it's, I'm probably like halfway through it, and it's all about this blade, which is like slightly techno, slightly fantasy, and just kind of following this character who is wielding the blade. And there's like not like a myth, but there's like a history to where this blade came from, and he kind of has it as like an assassin, but he stumbled upon it, so he's not really the greatest of dudes. So there's this like interplay with like, well, he has the blade and he's almost unstoppable with the blade, but does he really deserve to hold it? And then there's this mystical aspect of it tied in with this techno aspect of it. It's all these weird genres getting mixed together and blended together with this very interesting art. So I had never heard of this before. Never heard of this artist before. And I'm assuming this artist is probably European. Barcelonian artist. Wow, this got stuck. Erg. I don't know what happened here. Maybe I don't want to know. But the back page is worked for backgrounds for a number of Spanish animated series and movies, such as El... Oh, okay. I know El Cid. Huh. Yeah, it has a Euro flavor to it. But it's pretty intense. Like, the artwork's pretty intense. And I would say that the watercolors work sometimes and sometimes they don't. For me. But I can't even imagine the process of how he made this. Whether this was real watercolors or digital watercolors. And what was the process of, like, painting on the page? It's kind of crazy. So yeah, they create this whole, like, mythos and backstory to the world and how the world works. People getting their souls getting consumed by these, like, creatures. It's wild. It's pretty wild. But kind of cool. Kind of a neat discovery in the library. I have no idea, like, who chooses what gets shown or what gets carried in a particular library. Like, this is the last thing I would expect to find there. But yeah, really different, really bizarre. I almost would love to see a black and white version of it. Sometimes the colors are a little distracting for that. They're a bit much. Yeah, cool little thing, cool little find though. But it's cool. I mean, this guy knows how to draw for sure. Anyway, you get the idea. The Forgotten Blade. I believe this guy writes for, like, animated series and stuff like that. And then, like I said, this artist, I guess he's a Barcelonian artist. A lot of the artists now, these days in mainstream comics, are not from America. A lot of them are from South America or Europe. So it doesn't surprise me that more and more of this stuff is becoming available. Like, I don't know if this was released in Europe first. Sometimes they do that. Yeah, he worked on some book called Dead Inside. I never heard of that. And so part of me too is, like, you always wonder, like, well, why is that? Why aren't the top artists these days coming from America as much as they used to be? Like, in American comics, at least. Like, why is it more? Is it because it's cheaper to find talent? Is the talent level just better overseas right now in Europe and in South America and Asia? Is it just better talent? Is it harder to make a living here, living in the American cost of living than it is? I watched some interview with Matteo Scalera, I believe his name is. He's part of a comics YouTube channel and podcast called Ink Pulp. So it's him, Sean Crystal, who is an American comic artist, and Eric Canete. The three of them have a podcast. It's great, really great. They have great discussions about comic art. They do interviews with some top tier artists and creators on their channels. And then I believe Sean does a lot of, like, process videos, and he has Jim Mahfood is one of his guest hosts on that podcast or that YouTube short. It's a live stream. Blech. So I would recommend to subscribe to that channel because it's fun, it's great, and it's well done, really high quality stuff. But one of the conversations I remember them having with Mateo, who he's awesome. He did Batman. Oh gosh. He did a Batman one shot. I think that was Mr. Freeze. He did a Batman one shot. It was amazing. He's worked with Mark Miller before. Anyway, phenomenal artist. He's Italian. Matteo Scalera is Italian. And he was saying how he's, probably on the higher scale of what artists are paid because he's very much sought after and he's so good. And he's saying like what he earns, without going into specific numbers, he said what he earns from the American dollar goes so much farther, and he lives in Italy. So it goes so much farther in Italy than it does living here in America. So maybe that's why a lot of artists now are being outsourced to other countries. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. All right, let's see. Death's Head. We were on alternate comics path. I was in Canada. Oh, okay. Did they really push the Death's Head in Canada? Here it was just like, wait, what's this? What's this Marvel UK line? All right, it's kind of different. I don't even know why they needed to distinguish Marvel UK other than because they were UK creators. I don't know. I don't even know why they needed it. I kind of feel like it worked against them. If you look up Lobo Infanticide, it's Keith Given using that style on an actual Lobo run. Oh, okay, cool. Lobo Infanticide. Let me put that in my notes. Oh, this is my old notes. Oh, shoot. Let me put that in my notes. Lobo Infanticide. So maybe he did Lobo Infanticide before he did Trencher? Guessing. Yeah, but I'll look that up. Magic Sword stories are classic. Yes. Art style is interesting with the coloring, almost like an underpainting. Maybe. Yeah. I would be curious of his process. Yeah, I'd be curious about that. Or maybe he inked it and then the inks, like when he watercolored it, the inks kind of stayed. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he did it. Or maybe that's not watercolor. It could be Copic markers too, actually, now that I look closer. These could be Copics. Maybe it's a combo of Copics and... You know what? I bet you it's Copic markers. Because some of these strokes are like... You can feel the tip of the marker, and then the way that it's blending in with each other, which is why I thought it was watercolor, might have been just using the blending that you get out of Copics. Yeah, because it feel I can feel. I don't know if you guys can see it. I can feel or see the strokes here. You see that? It's like. So maybe it's Copics. And some of these mixes of colors feel very Copic marker kind of thing. Oh dear. I don't want to. Don't tell the library. I don't want to tear that. Yeah, it doesn't say he's a watercolor artist. So maybe it was Copics. Or Prismacolors or something. A lot of times people say watercolors and they're actually using a bunch of mixed media stuff. Yes, maybe you're right. You're right. You like the art. Random McGranderson likes the art. Those clusters. The page layouts in general in this book look pretty gorgeous, dense, and full of cool bits. Yeah. I just wonder... Yeah, it's not as clear, the storytelling in it. It's almost like too much rendering for my take. But it's beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Cheaper to go international for illustration, I guess. Yeah, probably is. I think it's money. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the main reason. Talented artists are in video games or movies. Yep. Cloudiness in the clouds. Yeah, like this stuff here, this feels like markers. We sleuthed it. We figured it out. Okay, a Forgotten Blade. check it out if that interests you. All right. Last one I have from the library. Walter Simonson, Archie Goodwin. Let me zoom out a little bit. Manhunter, which I actually have never read Manhunter and don't know much about it, so I'm pretty excited to read this. But I do love me some Walt Simonson. Look at this bananas costume. Why is he wearing these like blade boxes on his costume is pretty choice. But I do love me some Walter Simonson. I put it in my Amazon cart. We'll decide later. I love it. I love that, Random McGranderson. I love that you're thinking about it. Hang on, let me just make sure that this is focused. That's a little better. So, and I'm happy that we can even if you don't buy it, I'm happy that we can introduce you to something new. I love me some Walt Simonson. This is definitely earlier-ish in Walt Simonson's career. But I don't actually know that much about the character of Manhunter. But he crosses over with Batman in this, so that's kind of cool. But I love these kind of things. These remind me of like Paul Gulacy, Jim Steranko kind of layouts. Even the way that it's colored feels like of that era. This like rim lighting, like noirish rim lighting that they do. Frank Miller even does it too. So it's like that era of comic storytelling, which is fun for me, fun for me to read. And this is something that Walt does a lot. He does these like photostat, multiple copies of like a head or a frame. He'll like repeat things over and over again as part of his storytelling. Who's doing the colors on this? I guess different. Oh, Klaus Janson is doing the colors. Weird. Klaus Janson, known for as an inker. One of the biggest things that he inked on was Dark Knight Returns, the classic Frank Miller story. But I didn't realize he was a colorist too. I like the colors. I'm definitely more of the doing more with less coloring style of comics than I am with like every crayon in the crayon box, every filter possible. That's great. This kind of storytelling reminds me of Frank Miller. Yeah, fun stuff. Again, feels like Steranko kind of layouts with like the use of type. And then these like these tiny multiple panels where the characters are doing a lot of action in it feel very much like Frank Miller. It like captures an era of comics, which I'm so down with. So it's nice that it's all in one compilation. I'm assuming Manhunter has like just like enhanced abilities. 1930s adventurer Paul Kirk meted out his own brand of justice as the mass vigilante Manhunter. So he's like a vigilante. Now, almost 30 years later, Manhunter's back, leaving in his wake a trail of dead assassins, each whom wears the face of Paul Kirk. Oh. Huh. So it's like spy, international spy assassins. It's like James Bond, but like a little bit more enhanced. It's from the 70s. Yeah, it's got that feel. 1970s. I love the colors in this. Crazy. Wop, wop, wop. The way they use lettering, too, is so cool. Simonson always knew how to make his panels like really dynamic with angles and like diagonals, super prominent in his compositions. Counterpunch. This is awesome. Wow, that's great. There's the diagonals I'm talking about. It's like just like flying at you. Oh, I flipped through a lot of it. This is cool. I love Walt Simonson is the king of this. He did like, I don't know if you guys remember, I don't know the exact issue off the top of my head, but for one of his Thor issues, and Walt Simonson arguably is one of the best Thor artists out there. He did an issue that was all splash pages. Like every single page was a splash page, which was like amazing. It was a great, and he and at the in the issue, Thor was fighting the Midgard serpent. It was just like bigger than life. Everything was like huge. So it was perfect. It was like a perfect choice. And here, I flipped through this a little bit earlier before stream, but this one, it's like an all silent issue, which is reminiscent of the G.I. Joe Larry Hama silent interlude of Snake Eyes. I don't know which one came first, but there's no dialogue in this, and it's all just visual storytelling, which is super cool. And then look at this. He had to do, I don't know why he chose to do these like rounded panels. There must be a reason. But it's not like he could digitally do this in Photoshop. He hand did these rounded templates. But this is awesome. Just seeing the visuals tell the story. Look at that. I love this. Like splitting this panel gives you a moment right here. It's awesome. Throwing stars. Why didn't he use the stars here? What the? Come on, Manhunter. You got 2 throwing stars on your chest. This is great. Wow, look at this. Look at this hatching. I'm going to zoom in on this. Look at this cloud hatching. That is so cool. I have not seen that before. I have no idea why he chose to do that on the clouds, but it looks so good. Sorry for the pulling in and out. Yeah, this is cool. This is a cool issue. Love this dialogueless issue. Great. This is the kind of storytelling that really resonates with me as a comic lover, as an artist myself. This is why I love Frank Miller. This is why I love Mazzucchelli. This is why I love Mike Mignola. The guys that like take the time to use techniques that only can be done in comics to tell a story. And this is like a classic use right here. It's like panel size, position, layout, dialogue, timing. It's all right here. Beautiful. And it's kind of a lost art a little bit. Like right now we see, right now we see like a lot of artists who can render the heck out of everything. But the art of storytelling, the art of comics is getting lost a little bit. There's few and far between people that you find that are really good at it and are using the techniques that have been established by the masters before them. People are just going for artists that just can draw the heck out of stuff, which is fine, but I'd argue it leaves you a little empty at the end of it. You just feel like you were looking at a pinup book the whole time. And this is a great challenge. I mean, a great challenge for anybody who wanting to tell a comic story, trying to do it without dialogue. Can you do it? Like, can you stage it? Can you, you know, pace it out in a way that is understandable and makes sense? And now I'm not reading this, so who knows? Maybe I'll get confused at some point, but I feel like it's going to be really clear what's going on here. Cool stuff. Simonson. Look at that cover. That's awesome. That's classic 70s comics right there. Oh, this must have been the original take on Manhunter right here. Neat. Love it. Can't wait to dig into that. I got to bounce. Lasagna's ready and people are waiting. See you later, Rock y'all. Thanks a lot for coming, Random McRanderson. Let us know next time if you buy that book. That action shot paid off after the suspenseful build-up. Gold mask is cool. Storytelling might be the hardest part of illustration. I agree. And I think it's what makes comics unique is storytelling, or storytelling, visual storytelling techniques, I think is what makes comics unique. It makes it it's different from animation, different from filmmaking, different from illustration. It's only stuff that you can do in comics. And the artists that do that and can illustrate and can design, those guys are the best. They're the bee's knees in my book. Yes, I getcha. The sequential aspect. Totally right. So that was the last thing from the library. And one more thing I just wanted to look to. In that book that I said, it was like a free book that Frank at Amazing Fantasy handed me. It has in it Hulk #3, which is this Red Hulk. Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, which I was like, whatever. But the cool thing that it did have in it that I just wanted to look really quick was this, speaking of storytelling, was this Frank Miller Daredevil Apocalypse. I don't know why they included it. I think because it's part of Daredevil Born Again, and that TV series, the Marvel TV series, is coming out soonish. It's maybe why they're promoting it. But this was Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli's, the beginning of their relationship was working together on Daredevil. And talk about storytelling using, like, this is like pinnacle stuff for me. Like the colors in it, they only had 12 colors to pick from, or however many it was, but look how much mood is created with these color choices. It's awesome. Beautiful storytelling in this. And it's just, Matt Murdock like waking up. But just a lot of like story, pacing, kind of unfolding on these characters. They just give it moments to like breathe and like for you to like walk through their lives and understand them better, instead of just splash page after splash page after splash page, which has its place, but you lose some of this stuff, this depth. Like, this is great. This, like, talking on a phone could be drawn a million different ways, and he just changes that. Like, I believe if this was done now by some modern day artist, they would just copy and paste the same image, maybe change the little things. But the fact that David Mazzucchelli drew this and like rotated him, switched the angle, it's awesome. And his head is slowly getting lower and lower too, which is kind of changes the mood, changes the feeling, the emotion of the scene. These great shadows. I love these color choices. Holy moly. This is awesome. Great diagonals with this pose. I mean, these kind of color choices, like, You kidding me? Like the way that he's using just one scenario of it's not a sexy thing happening. Daredevil like cutting open a hole so that he can reach in, but it's so cool that it's like paced out this way. It's great. It's great stuff. They don't make comics like this anymore. Rarely. Look at these colors. Dynamite. That Daredevil is just like screaming off the page. And there's just enough separation in the characters. There's a subtle green here in the foreground characters and a lighter, or like a bluish green here in the middle ground, and then a lighter green in the background. But your eye is just like, boom, Daredevil. This is awesome. This is like a masterclass of storytelling. So much impact. Planned at the turn of the page. Booyah. Wow. Oh my gosh, what just happened? This whole building's smoldering. Really good. And this like slow move in. Wow. It's powerful. And you get this. No comment. Ooh. Look, we can color everything, every texture, every lighting effect. Ugh. Gosh. Sorry. This is not for me. Yeah. Kind of a stark difference there. It's not all bad, but everything's glowing. It's glowing hair. Blurs. Yeah. Too much. Too many colors. For me. Always, I can say whatever I want because at the end I'll say for me. Anyway, there we go. There's my comparison between stuff I love and stuff that's coming out now that I don't 100% love. Let's see. Great artist in this episode, Rocky. Thanks, Cranberry. Thank you so much. It was a hodgepodge. Friday the 13th hodgepodge, but I'm glad you like some of those things brought up. I love the randomness of finding different things between the stores I go to, the back issues I look at, and even the library of just finding different gems. And sometimes what I pick off the shelf or why I pick something off the shelf doesn't totally translate when I open up and read the story. So there's like that aspect of it. It's like the initial grab, like what gets you to grab something off the rack, pick it up, and either buy it or borrow it. And then when you sit down and actually read the story, does it keep you in it? Or do you just like read a few pages and you're like, I'm out? And there's definitely been books that I've picked up that I'm like, wow, this looks amazing. And then I'll read it. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't keep me. So I love that. And then I just love the variation of what you can do in comics, whether stylistically or storytelling wise or genre. Like the sky is the limit, and it's so fun to try and discover different things and analyze why I like them, why I don't. So it's been fun, and I'm glad that you guys got some of that out of what we looked at today. Whether it's Random McGranderson buying the Forgotten Blade, maybe, let's see, 50-50 whether or not he's gonna buy it, or running across, classic Frank Miller, classic David Mazzucchelli, classic Walt Simonson stuff. It's all good, and there's so much out there. So for sure, I hope you guys are able to get out there and find your own things, discover your own things, and enjoy them and share them and inspire other people. And that kind of pours into what comes out of me as far as the things that I want to work on, the things I want to create, the stories that I want to tell. All that stuff like funnels into it because it helps me see like, oh, that's why that makes me want to pull a comic off the rack. So I want to put that into whatever it is I'm working on. And then that will make me be able to tell a story better because that's what I like to see. So it's really fun. It's all fun and games. I have the Amazing Spider-Man 51. Sadly, I don't have 50, Mark's Music Obsession says. Did I miss that? I missed the conversation on that. Speaking of Kingpin. Oh, was that Kingpin's first appearance? Ooh, that would be cool. It's a Frankenstein of artists. Yeah, maybe. Well, look on the right side, Mark. You have other comics and Maggie. That's right. Comrade Sammy, we are about to close this out. What do you mean you extend a stream? I don't have anything else. I don't have anything anymore. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to pull out anything different or new. We got to save that for next time. So, what's going to happen? So, I'm finishing up the pencils. For those of you who saw the first stream for the Barry Windsor Smith cover that I'm working on, I got maybe about 75% through the pencils on that one on stream. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. It's getting a lot of great views, a lot of views on that one, which I was really happy about. If you haven't watched it, please do watch that, like it, and subscribe to the channel to get notifications for the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up the pencils off stream and get that one prepped to start inking. And that will happen next week for sure, is to start the inking journey on that one. Really excited about that. That's going to be probably a combination of brush and nib is what I'm thinking right now, because there's certain areas where I feel like a brush would be great to use. Certain areas where I think a nib would be, because Barry Windsor Smith uses quite a bit of cross-hatching in his rendering. And I feel like probably the nib might work better. I might even drop in a pen in that one if the nib gets too difficult, but that's my plan so far. But that will be a really, really fun one to ink on stream, and also just to focus on one singular image versus multiple images in a panel, multiple heads, multiple characters, just one kick butt character image of Wolverine. That one's turning out great so far. So stay tuned for next week, where we will start the inks on the Barry Windsor Smith Master Study and continue to push that one forward. I don't know if I'll be able to start another Master Study before the end of the year, or will that be the last one? That's a good question. Depending on how fast we get the Barry Windsor Smith, will I be able to get another one in there? I don't know. Because Christmas is coming up. I'm gonna miss a bit of time because of Christmas and vacation stuff. So we'll see. Might be the last one of 2024, Barry Windsor Smith, which would be a great way to end 2024. But stay tuned for that. And I've got a couple of other things cooking in the back burner of new things that I want to do on this channel. Again, we are pushing towards 500 subscribers and 2025. And it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great year. It'll be like sophomore year of YouTube for me. So like the newness and the like, I don't know what I'm doing, guys, is gonna, change a little bit. And now you gotta like build on what you've already started. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about what this channel will look like in another year and what kind of things we'll be talking about. But thank you guys so much for being here with me this Friday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. A wonderful Friday the 13th, whatever the rest of the time you have. Don't walk under any ladders. Don't cross paths with any black cats. Don't break any mirrors. What else? throw salt over your shoulder. Don't step on any cracks. Break your mother's back. What else we got? Friday the 13th. Don't walk underneath any buckets of... No, that's Carrie, the movie. Don't hang out in any woodsheds. I don't know. Don't walk in any graveyards. Whatever it is. Anyway, have a great rest of your Friday. Hope you guys have a good weekend. I will see you guys next week. Please hit that like if you haven't already, and I'll catch you later. Thanks so much, and yeah, I'll see y'all later. Let me make sure. I just want to make sure I get all the comments. Was fun to put on the replay on Outside. Oh boy. Have a good weekend. Do some more drawing or something. Comrade Sammy. Wait, that's a good one. Sorry, I just wanted to get to your guys' comments. See, this is what I'm doing. I'm extending it just a little bit. Here we go. I love just perusing the library. Definitely been exposed to a lot more than I would have by taking a chance, and I've grown in my knowledge of comics and art history much more had I not. Awesome. Sounds great. Fun. Oh yeah, yes. Tell a corny joke. Tell a corny joke. Yeesh. I don't know. Mount Everest of inking, Barry Windsor Smith. Yes. Good to see all of you guys. Knock on wood. There we go. Knock on wood. You were first in chat, and you'll see it in a second. Too many black cats were. Don't spit in the wind. Is that a suspicion thing, or is that just like a, you just don't want it to hit you in the back of the face? It's going to be a great year. The Revenge of the Nerds. That's a movie I haven't talked about. Like and subscribe. All right, I'm taking off now. Don't pull the mask off that old Lone Ranger. Don't mess around with Slim. Okay, see you guys later.